Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Deb Holland here at Lake Superior, and we are going to continue our teaching series from Leaders My Leaders, Your Journey to Awesomeness. And today we're going to wrap up part 3 of the Art of Consequences. So we've been talking about considering alternative strategies for the precise problem behaviors. So once you have your alternatives sketched out and you've thought all the way through them, okay, if I do this and this is likely to be the outcome, then you want to pick what you believe will be the most effective course of action. Don't try something that's a long shot, that's a Hail Mary pass at the end zone that might work but probably won't. Try and figure out what will be effective. And effectiveness is going to become more important than just about anything else when you're talking about correcting someone's behavior. Once you've picked and once you've made your decision, have the strength and the confidence to implement it. You have to implement the solution, otherwise it's just fancy words on paper and just a useless exercise. Explain what you're doing. Bring the person in to talk to you in private. Explain what you're doing, why you're doing it, and what change is expected. We talked about this a little bit last time. You know, hey Johnny, you're yelling at people. We don't allow that here. From now on, if you feel like yelling at someone, I want you to come see me instead. You need to be that clear with people about why you're doing it, what you're doing, and what you expect now, so that they can, 2 reasons. One, most importantly, so that they can understand what they need to be doing, what the behavioral standards are, or the productivity standards if you're dealing with that. And the other reason is that they also need to understand what the consequences are going to be for them, and the rest of the team needs to understand that you are trying to correct problems. And for another reason is that if this comes to a point where you are going to be terminating this individual down the road, you do need to have, as much as it sucks, the paper trail that shows, hey, on such and such a date, I brought Johnny in and I explained to him, no more yelling, you come see me instead. And this is what followed. So you also need to document for your own purposes, for organizational purposes, what happens in these meetings so that you can have that in future record to rely on. And above all, understand this conversation is not a negotiation. This is not a negotiation with the employee. You need to stay calm and strong. You need to articulate consequences if they don't make required changes, and you need to hold your ground. Doesn't matter if your heart is pounding and your knees are shaking and your mouth is dry. Go get yourself a drink of water, do a couple of push-ups, take a walk around the block, whatever you need to do. Calm yourself, and then be calm all the way through with that individual, and be strong. Do not allow yourself to be guilted or bullied into changing your mind at all, not one iota, because you've already gone through the process of making the decision, of making a good, healthy, mindful, intentional decision. You know what you want, you know what needs to change, so stick with that and have confidence in it. And then you can't expect them to test those limits. If they don't test them while they're sitting there with you, they will test them the minute that they leave and go back out to their regular work area. If they don't test them today, they're going to test them tomorrow. They're going to test them Tuesday and Friday and next month. So if you have a reputation as a weak leader, I hate to tell you, but it's true. You've kind of made your own bet on this one, and so people are going to assume that if they push you enough, you'll back down. So you're going to have to develop the backbone to stand strong, and it doesn't matter if they push back. The consequences are the consequences, period. This is how it's going to be. You don't have to be a jerk about it. You don't have to be loud and obnoxious or any of that stuff, but you do need to just calmly stand your ground, and that will convey more of a message in some ways than your words will. So once you start showing the backbone that you really should have had all along, people will respond to that, and your high performers will be singing your praises and doing the happy dance up and down the hall because you finally got with the program and cowboyed up and dealt with the issues. Once you've done that and you've gotten through the testing phase, which may or may not continue depending on how strong you are in handling it when it happens, then you need to monitor adherence and you need to hold the boundary lines. If you've set a boundary line and they cross it, and you let it go, well, then everything that has proceeded has been a complete waste of everyone's time. And in fact, you've just made the situation a lot worse, because you've taught the problem individual that all they have to do is keep it up and keep it up and keep it up, and they will wear you down and you're too weak to do anything. And they will exploit that and run all over you and the rest of the team, and you will end up with a toxic work culture at some point in time, probably much sooner rather than later. And then you need to implement consequences. When there's a violation, bam, consequence. Another violation, bam, next consequence. No hesitation, no reservation, no guilt, no shame. This is how it's going to be. Because remember, you've done everything before. You know you're coming from a strong, healthy place. Implement, implement, implement. And the behavior is either going to change, or the person is going to go through the process towards termination, or they're going to decide that, hey, their gig is up at this place, they're going to go play their game somewhere else with someone else who isn't strong enough to stand up to them. And then finally, the art of consequences, the last critically important piece, is that once you're done with all the mess of figuring out how to and then dealing with the problem child, what you need to do is you need to get back to leading the rest of your team, because problem individuals will hijack a work environment and dominate it so relentlessly that it completely compromises the environment, it tanks productivity, and it causes all kinds of chaos and stress, and then you have absenteeism, you have goals not being met, you have all kinds of problems. So you need to remember that for you as a leader, it's about the team. And once you've got the problem reined in, you turn your attention right back to the rest of the team and you start leading those people, because they're counting on you too. They have been persevering through the nonsense that you let develop, and so they need to be rewarded with your attention and your assistance, and just you simply being the leader on the scene that they know they can count on, and they can rest secure in that. All right. That wraps it up for our series on the art of consequences. Next time we're going to move on to something different. And until then, join me on my website, debhollandlcsw.com. You can link to my Facebook page from there. I have fresh new content for you guys every single day. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.